The Holy Gospel according to the second chapter of John. On the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus and his disciples had also been invited to the wedding. When the wine gave out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what concern is that to you or to me? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now standing there were 6 stone jars, water jars for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. And Jesus said to them, "Fill the jars with water." And they filled them up to the brim. He said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the chief steward." So they took it. When the steward tasted the water that had become wine and did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the steward called the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and then the inferior wine after the guests have become drunk. But you have kept the good wine until now." Jesus did this, the first of his signs, in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
You may be seated. Well, Jesus is at a party, at a wedding party, and there's probably dancing and laughter, friends and family, a sense of community and camaraderie, good food and good wine. I'm guessing that most of us have really good associations with weddings, that it's a time to reconnect to people we haven't seen for a while. It's a chance to play and have some fun and kind of lose ourselves to joy on the dance floor. That all sounds like a lot of fun. But I don't wonder if we feel a little bit distant from joy, or that freedom to lose ourselves to music, to play, to community, and to laughter. And COVID has cast a shadow over things for almost 2 years now. It's been difficult and tumultuous as a country in the moment of our politics. There are other fears that we face, maybe like climate change, and individually, we've had lots of losses in our lives and in our community. So I wonder if we've started to pull back from one another, from community, maybe for the sake of safety, but then also maybe because we're tired and weary, or because conversations feel so wrought as we take sides on masks and vaccines and what is truth. I saw this meme the other day that I think maybe captures some of this feeling. It was in a group called Moms on the Brink. And it said, "If you're wondering what things are like for parents right now, someone in my online moms group invited everyone to a Facebook event that is just going to an empty field and screaming." And a lot of people RSVP'd yes. Maybe it's just me, or maybe all of us, that it's been a while for all of us to lose ourselves to joy. And so I hear the story of the wedding at Cana differently than I've heard it other years. That maybe the good news of Jesus at a wedding party, the good news that Jesus would not let the party end because they ran out of wine, that people could keep on celebrating, is this reminder that we're created for joy, and that God is invested in our joy. There was a poem I came across this week that captures this kind of idea. It's by Hafiz. I sometimes forget that I was created for joy. My mind is too busy. My heart is too heavy. Heavy for me to remember that I have been called to dance, the sacred dance for life. I was created to smile, to love, to be lifted up and lift others up. O sacred one, untangle my feet from all that ensnares. Free my soul that we might dance and that our dancing might be contagious. It might seem a frivolous miracle. I mean, why would Jesus, Son of God, the Messiah, care about wine at a wedding? Aren't there more important things for Messiah to care about? Things we might expect, like feeding the hungry and healing the sick, raising the dead. But the Messiah enjoying a party? It seems a bit below the mighty works of God, doesn't it? And furthermore, it largely goes unnoticed. The servants and the disciples know what happened, but the chief steward and the bridegroom, and even the guests who get to keep on celebrating, it doesn't appear they know what happened. The miracle of water into wine isn't just a party trick where Jesus kind of gets to show off who he is. It's this miracle that's kind of behind the scenes that remains hidden. The miracle of water into wine was for the sake of joy, for God's people. Now, this is the first sign that Jesus will do in this gospel. He does a total of 7. And with the abundance of wine that Jesus produces, and the fact that it's the good wine and not the cheap stuff, points to this love of God that just cannot hold back. It's a miracle of abundance. And later in the gospel, Jesus will say of himself, I have come that they may have life and have it abundantly. And that's never about our material possessions or the size of our bank accounts. That abundance is about life and love and joy. In this story with Jesus, there is wine upon wine. In Jesus, we receive grace upon grace. And the other subtle but important thing in this text is that it happened on the 3rd day. With Jesus' first sign, we kind of get a glimpse of the end of the story of what happens with Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. Here at the wedding, just when there are some folks who are worried that there is no wine, that the celebration will end, that there's nothing left, it turns out that there is everything to celebrate. And when it comes to the end of the story, when Jesus has died and hope along with it, and celebration seems impossible, on the 3rd day, there will be joy as Jesus rises from the dead. And in that resurrection, there will be grace upon grace and love upon love. When Jesus rises from the dead, there is joy. We were created for this joy. And maybe that's just the reminder we need when times are hard. We were created for joy. And in Jesus, he is that ultimate source of joy. And so maybe it's not frivolous at all, but among the mighty works of God is the miracle of joy, all for the sake of God's people. think each time we come to worship, whether we're here or whether at home, we're reminded of that grace upon grace again. At God's table, as we celebrate communion, the miracle of joy is ours again. Here we join in another party, another feast, another celebration, and here all are welcome and all are fed, and there is plenty. There is more than enough for all. Here, love overflows in bread and wine. We join in the camaraderie of community. We feast on grace and receive the gift of abundant life once again. And fed by God's goodness, maybe we can join that dance of life once again and lose ourselves to joy. Thanks be to God. Amen.